He's the shove it man, oh he's the shove it man. He's gonna shove it, yeah, he's gonna shove it, man.
Okay, welcome back to the Shove It Show. Last time out we witnessed the early years of the Beautiful People, a female tag team who played obnoxious vain heels and got massive TNA ratings. It was great, and it shows that characters still have a place in wrestling. It also shows that sex sells no matter what narrative the geeks want to try and spin nowadays. But I've only covered the early bit, or you might say, the good bit. Because my god, there's so much bird turd to shovel through in this video. Let's get shoving. We left off at the end of 2009 as Angelina Love was released from TNA due to her visa issues, and the Beautiful People's future is potentially doomed. They've been booked to win this tag team tournament to get a match on pay-per-view to challenge for the brand new Knockout tag titles. We start off at the No Surrender 2009 pay-per-view with the commentary team wishing Angelina luck with her visa issues. And it's revealed that Angelina Love has been replaced with gap-eyed bitch Madison Rayne at the last minute. She was just kicked out of the team a couple of weeks before, but now she's back. And this match immediately starts badly for the BPs because referee Slick Johnson is replaced because he's been sleeping with Madison Rayne and favouriting the Beautiful People. It's going to be interesting without Angelina Love in the team as she was the wrestler of the team. Fortunately, they're in there with two strong wrestlers. Velvet still does a good job in this match of making her own offense look silly. But you know what, I don't care. Madison and Velvet are beaten easily, and you have to think that if Angelina hadn't left, they would have been booked to win those tag team titles. Those titles seem like they were made for the Beautiful People. The titles are beautiful, and so are they. There's no need to spray. 2 weeks later on Impact, Velvet addresses the situation with Angelina Love being gone. Velvet cuts a promo saying that now Angelina is gone, it's time for a change. Velvet apologises to the TNA Knockouts for being nasty and rude. Madison's now getting some promo time too. She blames everything they've done so far on Angelina Love. This promo is weird because it paints Angelina Love as the leader of the group, despite her never actually officially being this before this time. They apologise to the Knockouts Tag Team Champions. Can't believe they're still feuding with Taylor Wilde, who works at a sunglasses hut. They will have another title match on pay-per-view, but it turns out they're lying and they aren't actually sorry. Then Lacey Von Erich debuts and does this.
That's the daughter of Perry Von Erich, the granddaughter of the legendary Fritz Von Erich. And speaking of the Von Erichs, check out this claw to the head of Sarita.
It's the claw, man, the most devastating move in wrestling. Lacey Von Erich has joined the Beautiful People. She is of course the daughter of Kerry Von Erich and the granddaughter of Fritz Von Erich, so she's a third generation wrestler. She has wrestling in her veins. The next week another big change happened, because gap-eyed bitch Madison Rayne won an elimination match. She had a lot of help from Lacey, but this is so far her biggest win. She is the centre stage for the first time. As a threesome, the Beautiful People are still bullying backstage interviewer Lauren. Velvet says it's time to take the tag belts, which were meant for them because the current champions are stretching them with their fat waists. Madison Rayne is still talking about Angelina Love. She says they only lost their previous tag title match because they were distracted by the Angelina Love situation. Lacey Von Erich has a new catchphrase. We may have lost our love, but at least we've got some lace. No buys. It's now Lacey who's seducing the referees. I guess she's in the Madison Rayne position. And this is something you'd see a lot during Lacey's reign. She would fill comedy spots, because believe it or not, she's worse than Velvet and Madison in the ring. Lacey was very much a wrestler who was learning on the job. People have questioned why Lacey got such a prominent spot on the TV show, given that she was so inexperienced, but a lot has been said since. She was extremely well liked and popular backstage. Leader of the Grey Crew, Eric Bischoff, found her hilarious. So there's a lesson in that, kids. Even if you suck at your job, you can get by just being popular. But I'm not really against this, she's definitely a good fit with the group. Once again, the Beautiful People lose their tag team title match, and the match sucks Sonny Siaki's ass. In fact, with Angelina Love gone, the group started to lose most of their matches. It's like their lack of wrestling skill finally matters. But they always have something to do on the show because, of course, they are needle movers. They were like women wrestlers from the Attitude Era. Their gimmick now is teasing a kiss before every match, and to my extensive research, and I did a lot of it, from what I can tell, they never did it. In a great moment of continuity for TNA, Lacey called backstage interviewer Lauren a skank, which caused Lauren to slap her, and Lauren was done with TNA. This makes great sense given the years of abuse Lauren had taken from the Beautiful People. Finally, we get a proper storyline for the Beautiful People. Halfway into January 2010, Angelina Love is in the crowd. She exchanged pleasantries with the Beautiful People as Lacey looks on awkwardly. After they lose their match, Angelina Love climbs in the ring as the crowd happily chant for her, and then she proceeds to beat all of her Beautiful People friends up. She seems to be most focused on Velvet. Angelina has sorted out her visa issues and she's back in TNA for good. For the next couple of months, Angelina keeps going at the Beautiful People. She's still angry about being replaced. It's clear Angelina has their number, but their numbers game is always a problem. Around this time, the Beautiful People capture the tag titles, and they would defend them under Freebird rules. Angelina Love wins the TNA Knockouts title from a box, and yes, this counts, it's an official title change. Velvet also wins the ability to choose a match of her choice, and her choice is a leather and lace match, whatever the hell that is. So I guess this is the match we've been building up to since 2007. The two founders of the Beautiful People in some sort of hardcore weapons match. Nope, that doesn't happen. It's just Angelina Love being handcuffed whilst Velvet beats her up. It's then turned into an I Quit match. Don't know why TNA couldn't have let them have a proper intense match and just let them go at it. The match is thrown out. It's an I Quit match and it's thrown out. It's a waste of time. Now perhaps the biggest and strangest moment of this video is coming up. To this day it still makes no sense to me. This is something that would completely change the landscape in the knockout division. They've got this tag team cage match going on at Lockdown with the Knockouts Tag Gold and Singles Gold all going to the winner of this match. Velvet and Madison take on Angelina Love and Tara, who are partners who don't get on. And somehow, gap-eyed bitch Madison Rayne is the winner of the match. Starting a mind-numbing decade of destruction with Madison Rayne being pushed as the top woman in this company. She wasn't over, she didn't have a character at this point. She hadn't really had any good matches. And worse still, this whole thing came out of the blue. She hadn't been built up as a potential contender. In fact, Velvet had been her leader. This came out of nowhere and to this day I still don't understand it. In an interview with Awesome Kong, she put Madison Rayne in the hoe bag and seemed to have some hatred towards her. I know this isn't evidence of anything going on, but Kong seems like a down-to-earth and cool person. So for her to not like somebody, I don't know. Taryn Terrell and Brooke Adams also dislike Madison Rayne. And it has been rumoured that something happened with Madison Rayne and Terry Taylor, who was in a position of power in TNA. As I said, it's all just rumours. But what I can say for a fact is that everyone looked in complete shock at Madison Rayne winning the Knockouts title. This group go on for a bit, winning mostly fluking their way to victory. Madison started this gimmick where she would put her title up, but only in exchange for the other wrestler putting their career on the line. And she set about ending the careers of wrestlers on pay-per-view. First, Tara was beaten. This raised a few eyebrows to say the least. Then she beat and ended the TNA career of Roxy. I guess Roxy now does have a reason to hate Madison. Annoyingly, neither of these were particularly good matches, and this push was starting to rub some people the wrong way, especially the Hawk. Angelina Love returns from an injury and swears she's going to take out the Beautiful People, ending up with taking the title off Madison. This didn't seem to be a big problem until Madison didn't care about Velvet's well-being after a steel chair DDT from Angelina. There is now friction in the Beautiful People because Madison's a dick, I guess. Angelina Love and Madison will have a title versus career match at Victory Road 2010. It was around this time that Madison debuted one of my favourite moves in wrestling. It's sure a good one. There's a stipulation that if the Beautiful People interfere in this match, the belt can change hands. Angelina has it won when a moron rides a bike to the ring in a big helmet and attacks Angelina. The bell rings, the crowd are in silence, and nobody knows what's happening. It's ruled that Angelina is the new champion because the ref thinks it's one of the Beautiful People under the biker helmet. Wow, she had some really bad title changes, didn't she? And how the hell does the ref know it's one of the Beautiful People under the helmet? Wouldn't any sane person remove the helmet to check who's under there? But this is TNA, and nothing ever makes sense. Madison was livid about being unfairly stripped of the title. She was threatening to sue TNA for every penny that it's worth, which isn't much. Now I hate on Madison a lot, I know, but I will say she can handle a mic and speak to a good standard, or screech in her case. The other Beautiful People are upset with Madison for siding with the biker person without consulting with them first. Madison said she no longer needs the Beautiful People. Velvet denies being under the helmet and invites Angelina Love to beat up Madison. Madison kills her and leaves with her biker friend. 3 days later, Angelina Love is forced to hand the title over to Madison. Okay, how the fuck does this count as a title change? We've had so many dumb changes in this video alone. This somehow could be even dumber than winning the title from a box, because handing a title over to someone counts as a change. And yes, I know it's happened before, but the change shouldn't have happened before that either. What we get now is a tug of war over friendship for Lacey Von Erich. Why would anyone want her? The following week, the biker returns and causes a distraction which leads to Velvet and Lacey losing their tag titles. I love the way that Lacey smiles as she holds up the steel chair to her own head to get it kicked into her face. For the 5th fucking week in a row, the biker arrives at ringside during a title match of Madison and Angelina. Velvet tries to remove the helmet from the biker, but the biker has a hat on underneath and then they escape. Angelina Love beats Madison to take the belt back after only 27 days. What a mess. Oh yeah, Velvet and Angelina are friends again because I'm struggling to even keep track of this myself. This lot fight like immature schoolgirls, and then they fight and make up on an almost weekly basis. They cut a promo apologising to each other, and they admit they created the monster that is now Madison Rayne. I have to admit it's great to see them back together. This is what everyone wanted to see, not some stupid watered down versions. But Madison is still with the biker chick. She's turned her promos up with screeching, whining, complaining. Her voice is like nails on a chalkboard, to be honest. Madison says she's the only beautiful person left in TNA, and also the only natural person. That's debatable. She is claiming all rights to the beautiful people's name. So it's that same DX storyline from the Attitude Era again. Oh yeah, the biker turns out to be Tara. Some bullshit about Madison being able to get a job back because she was the one who retired her in the first place. Oh, and Lacey Von Botch is still here for some reason. She doesn't really fit in with either team anymore. She seems to prefer Madison, but Madison gives up on poor Lacey almost straight away. All four of the beautiful people, minus Lacey, because poor Lacey, were forced to face each other in a title match at Bound for Glory. I'll come on to that Lacey situation in a minute. But first, a match to decide who owns the right to the Beautiful People franchise. Now Madison has gone brunette, a look that she'd had for most of her wrestling career. The original Beautiful People win the match. Now Madison can move on and find her own gimmick. Because so far it's the exact same gimmick as Velvet and Angelina.
Hey, Christy, Bozo the Clown called. He wants his hair dye back, you phony bitch.
Whoa. Okay, weren't you blonde last week?
Zip it, pig.
On to the pay-per-view. Angelina Love defends her Knockouts title against Velvet, Tara and Madison. And in a move that everyone and their cat could see coming, Tara steals the pin and becomes the new Knockouts champion. And the pin just looks ridiculous. Much to the anger of gap-eyed bitch Madison Rayne, that association sure didn't last long. Madison forces Tara to lie down on the next show, and that's another stupid title change. God, how many more? Around this time, Lacey Von Erich was quietly removed from TNA. It was joked on TV that she'd left to help train Brooke Tessmacher to wrestle, which Taz found hilarious. But she was never seen again in TNA. In a 2021 interview, Lacey Von Erich revealed TNA were about to put the Knockouts title on her. And she didn't want to do it because she had a newborn and didn't want to be on the road all the time. So she's told Dixie that she quit. Can you imagine? It's hard to know if this was real or not, but if you think about it, why were all the beautiful people put in that match, all four of them, minus Lacey? It seemed like they were going out their way not to include her, so maybe that was going to be a five-way and maybe Lacey was going to win there. Can you imagine? With the original beautiful people no longer holding the gold, they needed something else to do. Perhaps an interesting storyline, perhaps a return to their proper mean girl personalities, maybe a new dimension to their characters. Well, what happened next nobody could have predicted, because it was really, really, really dumb.
It's on hella faded. I sip lean on a celebration. I just popped another 30, now I'm meditating.
The former Katie Lee debuted in TNA, now going by the name Winter. And she loved Angelina and wanted to split up the beautiful people. She was also a ghost, by the way, and she could appear in mirrors, spooking Angelina whenever she wanted. She also drugged her. She also turned her into a zombie, and they were lesbians too, and time travellers. It's like somebody asked, what storyline should we use? And Russo screamed, all of them. I've covered this whole thing in full, but the abridged version is that due to all the drugging and brainwashing, the beautiful people ended and Angelina went with Winter. Velvet and Angelina had a match against each other where Angelina no-sold all of Velvet's moves. I mean, I know they didn't exactly look impactful in the first place, but there's no need to go this far, Angelina. And Angelina wins, leaving Velvet to declare that the beautiful people are dead. And for the first time in Velvet's TNA career, she's all on her own. It starts out positively. First, she's in a 3-on-2 handicap match. It's Velvet, Sky and Kurt Angle versus Winter, Angelina, and a wild slapnuts appears.
Jeff Jarrett.
Velvet pins Winter, and she makes the massive announcement that it's her intention to become the Knockouts champion. The following week, she beats Winter and Angelina Love in another handicap match, so it's obvious that Velvet is destined for a big push here. And it's actually a nice slow build for Velvet as she gets some big wins as TNA desperately tries to make her seem like a believable threat for a title. At Bound for Glory 2011, Velvet finally wins the big one. She captures the Knockouts title in a 4 corners match, dethroning Winter, who was a horrible champion by the way, but there's a lot of them in this video. It's all looking very positive for Velvet. Angelina, on the other hand, kept doing this storyline with Winter for a year and 9 months. Jesus Christ. All it did was completely kill off her popularity and charisma. She spent the entire storyline playing second fiddle to the former WWE Winter, despite Angelina Love herself being a multiple-time Knockouts champion. But nobody cared about Angelina Love anymore, and she left TNA in July 2012. Her parting comment was that she no longer felt valued in TNA. I don't blame her after all of that. Velvet hung around as a singles wrestler and kept the title for a month. She literally didn't defend it. This is just horrible. She cuts a promo talking about how much she hates bullies whilst crying. You mean literally like you spent the last 4 years bullying people, Velvet? But it doesn't matter much anyway, as she was never truly considered a champion. Her matches weren't up to the level that some of the other girls could manage. She dropped the title to Gail Kim, still waiting on that good Velvet Sky match. If it doesn't come against Gail Kim, you have to question if it ever will. There is a small positive with Velvet though. She has this new finisher called In Your Face. It's one of the Hawk's personal favourites. It's Rocky Launcher. It's Rocky Launcher. It's Rocky Launcher. 3, 2, 1, it's Rocky Launcher. In your face. But she maintained a prominent spot on the show. Strangely, Velvet left TNA out the blue because she couldn't come to terms on a new TNA contract. And even more strangely, this was the exact same month that Angelina Love was officially done with TNA. So we're done then. End of story. Turn off the video. Goodbye. Oh, contraire, my little hare. We ain't done. We ain't done by a long chalk. Velvet would be back in TNA by the end of 2012 with a new look to go with it. And this would be her most prominent role as she recaptured the Knockouts title for the second time, this time holding the belt for 117 days. It still didn't really work. I always thought Velvet worked best as one of the mean girls, but I will say she seemed like she was trying a bit harder in the ring to show some new moves, and she looks like she was trying to improve at this time. Angelina Love would not be so lucky of her employment, and she didn't find her way back to TNA until March 2014. Isn't this the third time she's returned at this point? The show was dying, everybody was leaving, and it was just a depressing time to be watching. Velvet had already been shoved back with Madison at this point, and TNA was so exhausted and out of ideas that they just said, screw it, let's reform the Beautiful People in a desperate attempt to recapture their previous ratings glory. Angelina Love begged Velvet to reform the team, and she admitted that she wasn't very good in wrestling without being in the Beautiful People. TNA actually made a pretty big deal out of this reformation, and the crowd are fully behind it. And the deal was cemented with Velvet hitting a DDT on the outside of Madison to confirm the Beautiful People are going to be heels. I guess Madison isn't a part of the team anymore then. Good. And if you ask me, they were always best this way. Not much has really changed except a new double team finisher that they call the Makeover. Angelina Love is back to being pushed as the better wrestler, and she recaptures the Knockouts title once again for the 6th time actually. Apart from that, it's more of the old school stuff. Hairspray finishers. Teasing the audience with saying they're too ugly to see their bodies. Evening gown matches, using their attributes to control and distract referees, and of course, forced makeovers. You know, the Beautiful People. Angelina Love lost the title to Gail Kim after 54 days, and believe it or not, that is the last time any of the Beautiful People held the top women's gold in TNA. That's including Gap Eyes. The real death of the Beautiful People came about a couple of months after this. They decided to pair the Beautiful People up with the Bromance. Most annoying team in TNA history. I guess TNA thought it made sense to put all of these people together due to having similar characters all caring about their looks and stuff. But the Beautiful People were strong enough characters to stand on their own. Maybe TNA thought the Beautiful People would make the fans care about the Bromance. They were wrong. There's nothing in the world that would make anyone care about these two morons. From this point forward, they were essentially just arm candy for the two biggest burks who need a punch to the guts. They were essentially just comedic relief now. Nope, this ain't gonna work at all. Where's the badass girls gone who hate everybody but themselves? The two girls who always came out on top. The needle movers. No one was tuning in to see the fucking Bromance. At the start of 2015, they do a Feast or Fired match. This is a match where 4 random cases are attached to 4 random poles containing 3 random prizes and 1 pink slip. It was during this match that Velvet helped Robbie E retrieve a case. I don't know if I'm just being fussy, but she hands it to Robbie E as he leaves the ring, so in my eyes, he's got the case. But no, it's ruled that Velvet gets the case, even though she was never a part of the match. And in typical TNA fashion, Velvet Sky gets the pink slip for a match that she was never in. And that ends the video. Fuck's sake, it doesn't, does it? 4 months later, Velvet's in the crowd. Angelina tells Velvet she looks like shit. Angelina runs down how bad she looks as the crowd chant that she's sexy. It seemed that Angelina started blanking Velvet when she was fired. Velvet attacks her and this kind of thing carries on for a couple of months. Velvet is now a badass with chains, purple hair and hitting stone cold stunners to anything that moves. And getting arrested by a herd of security. Angelina is also arrested for attacking Velvet Sky as she apparently doesn't work here anymore despite being on the show several times. Velvet and Angelina had a match for the 50th time, with Velvet Sky winning her TNA job back. She shouldn't have bothered. Velvet moved on to feeling bullied by the new TNA girl faction, the Dollhouse. Hurts when the shoe's on the other foot, doesn't it, Velvet? So Madison and Angelina decided to have their old friends back. The beautiful people were back in town. Again. Angelina Love describes them as the edgy, new beautiful people. Yay, another version of the beautiful people. I can barely muster any enthusiasm up at this point. So what did this amazing new version of the beautiful people get up to? You couldn't make it up. The following episode of TNA, Angelina Love is sort of written off TV. Due to an attack from the Dollhouse, they said that she had a broken arm. In reality, she got pregnant. After a bit, she disappeared from TNA and her contract expired during her pregnancy. Fuck's sake. This feud with the Dollhouse goes on for about 3 months and the beautiful people pretty much lose all the matches. I just don't care. They aren't doing anything entertaining anymore, they're just bland. The bland people. Velvet has her final TNA match for real in May 2016, a loss to Sienna. She just doesn't care anymore, she doesn't even bother letting the pigeons loose. I think she's depressed. Velvet's TNA contract actually expires around the same time as Angelina Love's one. Again. Just like last time, but Angelina hasn't been seen for so long at this point, people might not have noticed that. Velvet says she made the decision to leave TNA because there was nothing else for her to do. She also wanted a chance in the WWE, although that one unfortunately never come for her. But she could still live happily off those memories of that loss to Victoria back on Heat in the old days.
You know, back in my day, before my ass had wrinkles on it, I wrestled for Vincent K. McMahon. He was like Tony Khan's dad or something. And I was on the Hot Show. I think it was called Warmth or Fire or something. I didn't have pigeons to let loose at that point in my career. I was going to be the next Sable. But that damn PG era. What was I saying again? Sorry, I just dropped a turd in my thong nappy.
In all seriousness, this turned out to be Velvet's final match on TV of her entire career. I don't think she was expecting it. She retired soon after and works as a commentator on the NWA show. Angelina Love. She returned to TNA again in 2017. 4 fucking times now. This time because of her husband, the Howling Herding Wolf, and not the one I hate. She had some mixed tag matches with him. It sucked. Nobody cared. And she actually wrestled a lot for ROH after this, and she's still wrestling today. She's in NWA with Velvet too. They tried to sort of do the beautiful people again, this time calling it the Allure. Let it die, girls. You're too old to be playing a mean girl gimmick. What shocked me during the research is how quickly Angelina Love married Davey Richards and then they divorced. They started dating in 2015, they got married later in 2015, they had a baby the next year, and then the following year they divorced. I guess she didn't like his choice of tag team partner either. And that just leaves Gap Eyes. She had a long and successful TNA career with 5 title reigns at a combined 404 days. She is the 3rd most successful Knockouts champion of all time, whilst Angelina Love is the 10th. That is crazy to me, it should not be that way. And now, she is training women for AEW, despite never having a good match in her own career. But we'll find that out for sure if I ever reach 200k, so make sure you hit subscribe. Anyway, it's been a real ride. We saw the beautiful people as young wrestlers just trying to figure out their gimmick. We saw them grow and become big ratings getters for TNA. We saw the group expand and members come and go. I actually quite enjoyed their return in 2014. They did a good job of recapturing what made them so successful. But it did go downhill after a bit, but so did the entire company, so you can't complain too much. Velvet only ever slightly improved in the ring, whilst Angelina Love was average at best the entire time. But you know what? It didn't matter. It doesn't matter now either. They were never trying to have a 5-star match. They didn't believe in it. They were coming from the same school as me when it comes to wrestling. Entertainment. They modelled themselves after the ladies from the Attitude Era, and they did a good job replicating that. There's a reason TNA consistently put these women on TV for so many years. Their match quality didn't matter. Anyway, let the Hawk know down in the comments what was your favourite version of the beautiful people. What was your favourite moment that they had? Should they have reformed as many times as they did? And if you don't agree with that, I'll put you in the trash and close the lid.